What if I told you that a seemingly ordinary 12-year-old girl could orchestrate one of the most horrifying crimes in Canadian history? A crime so shocking, so unimaginable, that it left an entire nation reeling. This is the story of Jasmine Richardson, a bright, promising child who fell under the spell of a much older man, and together they unleashed a nightmare that no one saw coming. But here's the twist. The most heartbreaking part of this story isn't just the crime itself. It's the bravery of an 8-year-old boy who tried to defend himself with nothing more than a toy lightsaber. The Richardson family lived a quiet, happy life in Medicine Hat, Alberta. Jasmine, just 12 years old, was a bright student, loved by her peers, and adored by her parents, Deborah and Mark. Her little brother, Tyler, only 8, was the light of the family, a sweet, playful boy who idolized his big sister. But behind the smiles and the laughter, something was changing. Jasmine's parents began to notice a shift in their daughter. She became distant, argumentative, and obsessed with dark, disturbing topics. Her fascination with serial killers, especially Jeffrey Dahmer, whom she called her hero, was deeply troubling. And then came the moment that would change everything. Jasmine met Jeremy Steinke. Jeremy Steinke was no ordinary man. At 23 years old, he was a self-proclaimed 300-year-old werewolf who loved blood and despised authority. His vampirefreaks.com profile was a chilling glimpse into his mind, filled with hate, violent fantasies, and a disturbing obsession with murder. When Jasmine met Jeremy at the Medicine Hat Mall, it was as if she had found someone who understood her darkest thoughts. But what started as a friendship quickly spiraled into something far more sinister. Jeremy groomed Jasmine, taking her to concerts and spending time together. He fueled her growing hatred for her parents, convincing her that they were the only thing standing in the way of their love. And Jasmine? She began to believe him. By April 2006, Jasmine and Jeremy had made a decision that would shock the world. They weren't just going to run away together. They were going to eliminate anyone who stood in their way. On the night of April 23rd, Jeremy crept into the Richardson family home through a basement window. Deborah, Jasmine's mother, heard the noise and went to investigate. What happened next was pure horror. Jeremy ambushed Deborah, stabbing and slashing her until she collapsed. Hearing his wife's screams, Mark rushed downstairs. In a desperate attempt to save his family, he fought back, even managing to stab Jeremy in the eye with a screwdriver. But Jeremy was relentless. He overpowered Mark, stabbing him to death in a brutal, frenzied attack. And then came the most chilling part of all. Upstairs, 8-year-old Tyler was asleep in his room, unaware of the nightmare unfolding below. But when either Jasmine or Jeremy, both blame each other, entered his room, Tyler woke up. In a moment of pure bravery, this little boy grabbed his toy lightsaber and tried to defend himself. Imagine that for a moment, an 8-year-old child, armed with nothing but a plastic toy, standing up to a killer. It's a heartbreaking image, one that speaks to Tyler's innocence and courage. But it wasn't enough. Tyler was overpowered, his throat slit in a brutal attack. The family was gone. And Jasmine and Jeremy? They didn't flee in panic. They went to a party. At the party, Jeremy bragged about what he had done, telling friends he had gutted the family like a fish. Jasmine, equally unrepentant, described how Tyler gargled as he died. Their lack of remorse was as shocking as the crime itself. The next day, Tyler's young friend came to the Richardson home to play. Instead, he found the bodies of the family and alerted the authorities. At first, police feared Jasmine had been abducted, but soon they discovered the horrifying truth. Jasmine wasn't a victim. She was one of the killers. In her school locker, investigators found a stick figure drawing depicting the murder of her family. It was clear that this crime had been planned. Jasmine, just 12 years old at the time, was sentenced to 10 years in prison, the maximum sentence allowed under Canadian law for someone her age. Her sentence included 4 years in a psychiatric institution and 4.5 years of conditional supervision. She was released in May 2016, her identity now protected. Jeremy Steinke, on the other hand, was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 25 years. One of their accomplices, Casey Lancaster, received a 1-year house arrest sentence for obstruction. The Richardson family murders remain one of the most shocking crimes in Canadian history. It's a story of manipulation, hatred, and the devastating consequences of unchecked influence. This case isn't just about a crime. It's about the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface, the fragility of trust, and the devastating cost of violence.